Rob and Dave, a podcast dedicated to all things Horus Heresy in the Northwest region of America. Please stay tuned for the next transmission.
And this is Dave, signing us in for Northwest 30K Voxcast. Along with me is Rob. Say hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
See? This is what happens when I'm in a captain's chair. It feels weird.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm Scotty in the back, giving her all she's got.
That's right. Hello, everybody. I know it's been a little while since we've had a chance to be online. Adulting sucks for us in the summer months. I work a lot. Rob works more. He makes me feel like a shameless boy when I only pull a 60-hour week. So anyway, that's enough of my bitching.
I like how you put that caveat in there, like, Rob does 22-hour shifts and makes me feel like we're worthless shit.
Yeah.
No, the reality is you got the better job. That's that's how that works.
It is what it is. So as far as hobbying goes, hobbying has actually been kind of boring for me. I've been trying to get things figured out. With 8th edition releasing for 40K,
Yep.
I've had to move my Heresy event from June 17th because, 8th edition decided to drop that day, and stores make their money. So I graciously agreed with the owner that it needed to be moved. So now it's July 22nd at MOB Games in Lake Stephen. So it kind of gives me a little more time to write shit up. That is honest to God about all the hobbying I've done per se, because I've been trying to figure out things for Dragonflight in August. And I'm thinking about doing more Night Lord stuff, which is shocking for anybody who listens. Rob, how about you, bud?
I for hobbying I actually did some things. I rebased one of my Leviathan dreads, so that was cool. I did that because its original base broke, and then I built Corvus Corax. I have yet to paint him yet, but he's built. And then I built 2 Legion land speeders, and each of them for the Raven Guard, and each of them have a multi-melta and a graviton gun. And as far as hobbying goes, that's as far as it went. I've been working a lot, so just building where I can, and that's about it.
And it basically kind of goes like what we had talked about the last couple episodes of this time of year is unfortunately very busy for us. No apologies, adulting's what pays for the hobby, right?
Well, that and it's summer, right? Summer's always a bad period for
Oh, hell yeah.
hobbying because, well, it's nice out and everyone's got shit going on. And another thing, too, I am aware that last episode we had a volume issue, and it fluctuated with everybody. I'm still working on why my software is doing that for recording, but for now, I'm not letting it. Basically, the software program kept like resetting the master volume when I was trying to put in the input volume. And instead of fighting that this episode, I'm just going to leave it the way where it wants to be at. So that way you guys have a frequent level. So if you have to turn up the volume in your car or on your phone, I do apologize for that, but I figured it'd be better if you just have to turn up your volume and keep it that way for the episode rather than fight it while you're driving in traffic. So that's kind of where we're at on that one. I'm working on that issue still. It's a software thing, and I'm still fucking with it. So.
Yeah, so anybody who does listen to this, I listen to other podcasts too, so I can hear where we can always make improvements as far as how we talk. You'll notice sometimes when I talk, the left speaker will sound quiet, so you may want to watch your balance in that respect in your speakers. I don't know if that's with everybody's car, but with mine, sometimes when I start getting echoing, I'll turn off one side of the speakers, and it actually works quite well. I know it's a pain in the ass to play with that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, essentially, for me, once there's I've got the spare time and the cash to do so, I do plan on upgrading the mics and upgrading the software. But until then, this is kind of where we're at because we're doing this shit for free. So enjoy.
That's right. We still have an amazing following, so we thank you guys for hanging in there.
Yeah, Much appreciated.
Awesome stuff.
So,
go ahead.
Games played. Have you played any? Or have you just been doing jack shit?
Doing jack shit. I've been invited to play games. Haven't had a chance, unfortunately, because of the work schedule and personal life. I know we're going to talk a little bit about your events coming up here pretty quick.
Yeah.
But as far as... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm just
Okay.
commenting. I'm just saying, yeah, we're drunk. Again.
Yeah. Well, he's drunk. I'm mildly buzzing. Which means I need more rum.
Always more rum.
Yeah. So I was going to talk briefly about events before we go into the one that Rob attended this last weekend, which we're going to talk in depth a little bit more. We got the OFCC happening at the end of July down in Portland, or it's actually in Vancouver, Washington.
Yep.
If anybody hasn't signed up for that and is interested in going, I would recommend it. It looks like they have at least 10 slots, trader and loyalist side, available still. And also, I will not be there, unfortunately, due to my wife saying that we are going to spend a weekend away together, and it just happened to be falling on that same weekend. So I apologize to Matt and crew down in Portland. I wish the hell I was going, but time with the wife. It is what it is.
Yep. And I can comment further on that, too. I was talking to Matt earlier. I was going to try to make plans to go. But unfortunately, Matt, during the month of July, almost every weekend except for the one weekend in July that we're going to record, and there's another weekend that I'll be back in time for us to record, I'm fishing on a bayliner. It's that's silver salmon season, and you have a higher limit catch when you're on the ocean than you do on the river. That's also when there's a lot of lingcod out.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yep, so I'm going to go fill up my freezer. It's the Alaskan way. Sorry, buddy. But I got an opportunity to go for very little money. So I'm going to take advantage of it and stock up the freezer for the winter.
And adulting continues with the word
Heresy. Yeah, sadly.
So how relieved were you when you seen Warhammer Fest announce that 30K is not going to 8th?
You ever been constipated for 5 days and it finally gets out?
Kind of how I felt too.
Yeah.
I was like, I was starting to stress a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
So like, for those of you who do not know yet, Warhammer Fest announced that Heresy was going to stick to 7th, and I say 7th with a bit of trepidation because in the description for the rulebook, they talked about how they were going to how it's going to detail force organization charts and universal special rules that affect games played in the Horus Heresy, which tells me that it's not going to be fully 7th edition. They're going to tweak the rulebook,
which is fine because there are some tweaks that need to be made.
Agreed. With that, I know about almost 2 weeks ago, I put out a PSA on our Facebook group. I only did that in response because I saw a lot of people who do follow our podcast kind of like conflicting on social media, and I just wanted to quell my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I think this move is a very intelligent one market-wise, and it's also a very strong one for the community's sake because now we are no longer tethered to whatever Games Workshop wants to do with 40K. We are allowing Forge World to advance the Horus Heresy in the methods and timeline that they want to, which is going to be better for the game in whole. And we've also eradicated all and any fear of any black books, either past or future, being irrelevant because Games Workshop wanted to create a new edition on a drop of a hat.
Yeah, and that was the reality. We've seen the communities really exploding on all sorts of different groups and blogs concerned about that. I mean, there are pros and cons. I've talked to a couple players who have played a couple of the 8th edition 40K games, and there are definitely a lot of bugs that need to be worked out. And it's with any new game set, and who knows what the final release is actually going to be. I mean, yes, the stores have the books, blah, blah, blah. I'm not arguing against that. But how we we have to readjust our thinking because it's very much AOS compared to what we're used to in the last 3 editions. So,
yep, I like it. I like it because it allows an era of diversified approach. So, like any kind of a market you see, whether it be automobiles or fabrication or constructural building, I mean, you really can go down the line of any other field. Diversifying your approach to that field always benefits a optimistic approach for consumers.
Yep.
So the fact that we have AOS the way it is, we have 40K the way it is now, we have Heresy staying the way it has been, you have the Hobbit up and coming, you have Adeptus, you have Adeptus at Titanicus, you have Armageddon, which is essentially Necromunda. You have literally an avenue for all forms of gamers into the storyline that we all love so much. And that's really going to allow people to find a home and a niche of what they like to enjoy most playing. Like, I won't lie, I'm excited for 8th edition. I'm going to play 8th edition 40K. But is that going to replace Heresy for me? Absolutely not. It's another game for me to play. I can stay within the storyline and the atmosphere that I enjoy so much, but do it in a different way. And that's going to benefit all of us and all gaming groups and all gaming circles in its own unique way. That's going to allow all communities to grow the way they need to.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I will have to say this, the 8th edition thing, and mind you, I don't have a 40K arm. That's a lie. I have Imperial Knights, so technically they're 40K.
Wait, you have power armor, don't you?
No, hold on. You'll see where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
so,
I do.
I used to play Necrons. I sold the entire army about 2 months back.
Right.
And mind you, anybody's like, oh, he sold his army, it's only 1,800. No, I had 10,000 points of Necrons. It was an entire, I could field almost 11,000 points on my own, no problem. And that's without upgrades. So I like Necrons. Hint, hint. I hate Eldar, and they got brought low with 8th edition. And I'm like, thank you. That's, that made my day. I won't probably play, but hey, the fact that Eldar are now not as awesome as they used to be, that's a win for me. Anyway, that's my own personal I hate Eldar rant, so I you bastards.
I can be honest with you, I am buying Primaris Marines. And I'm probably going to paint them in one of the 2 legions that I've got, just so they can complement them.
I can see that.
Just expand on it in case I want to go that route. But the 140K army that I'm going to get into, that I haven't played since I started in 3rd edition, is Tyranids.
Everybody is liking the bugs right now. Which I'm excited about because I really want to do a murder campaign, Marines versus Tyranids.
Yep.
But and I think that would be so much fun with guys getting more into Tyranids. We'll see more armies. I can get that in there.
So check this out, because I'm drunk. Let me have a moment. So Tyranids.
Hold on. Okay, moment started.
Okay, moment has begun. So Tyranids. Smart ass. I am going to paint my Tyranids like Xenomorphs. So hear me out. Because a few people I talk to are like, oh, so you're going to paint them black and that's it. It's like, no. It's Rob. Come on. I'm not going to do just black. There's no way.
With neon pink.
No. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint them black. That's not to say I'm not going to do that. But the carapace, the softer carapace, like their bodies, right?
Huh?
I'm going to do zenith highlights like I do my Raven Guard. Right? And then the carapaces, I'm going to do a hard dry brush of grays, working up to a white on the very fine edges.
That'd be cool.
And then I'm going to glaze them with blues and purples. So that way those grays and whites become a purple and blue hue.
Huh.
And then on the hard carapaces, I'm going to paint them in a clear coat so they look slimy. That glossy finish is going to make it look very slimy. And then all the teeth and the talons I'm going to paint them in, I'm going to use this as a reference, but a pallid witch flesh, but really it's going to be an off-white. And then I'm going to clear coat those as well.
Huh.
So their talons and their teeth look like that weird translucent white like the xenomorphs have. And then their bodies, their upper carapace is where you're going to see the most of the model are going to have that nice blue or purplish hue like you see the aliens have in all the films when the light hits them. How they're like black, but they're not black. They're like a bluish black, right?
Crow black, yeah.
Right. And then beyond all that, on the bigger Tyranids, I'm going to work in yellow spots on the carapace, very minute, but they're going to be yellow spots, and they're going to be dispersed, and then all the eyes on all the bugs are going to be done in yellow to contrast the blue.
That could be awesome.
And all the
I thought about doing a whole alien thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do conversion kits because I feel like that's too much of a nod, but I want to paint them enough to where it's like, dude, yeah, like I could see Ripley being like, "Get your hands off her, you bitch!" Like, yep, that's the intent.
See, I actually wanted to do the chrome teeth and claws like they did in the original Alien. You know, and like gloss black, almost a wet look.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was actually thinking about. I was actually going to pick up a couple. Okay, my wife's hearing me talk about picking up stuff. Picking up. She's giving me the look. I can't talk now. And doing it, see how it looked before I actually picked up more to do it. I mean, Nids are an amazing army in general, as far as like looks and aesthetics goes. I mean, there's so much diversity with it, as far and what you can do with it. And it's like I can see the appeal.
Well, for me, I played Tyranids back in third. That's what I got brought into.
And Rob's roasting a bowl, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah, exactly. 420, man. No, but like when I got into 40K, I was introduced. A local gamer gave me 1,500 points of Ultramarines, and then I bought a Tyranid army off the old metal blisters. Back when the Hormagaunts had those weird like pike spear style arms, they had the alien heads, right? Yeah. So, but I've never touched them again because after the Monster Mash of Godzilla lists in 4th edition, they kind of were like subpar ever since then. And it's not that I didn't want to play them because it wasn't a power level thing, but to be honest, I didn't want to invest that much in an army that didn't do well. So,
yeah, man, I get it.
Yeah, but now they're going to do well in 8th, so it's like, sweet. And I've already got my Marines covered. I've got a shit ton of power armor, so I don't have to worry about that. So it's like, why not go into the Xeno army? But we digress. We talk too much about 40K. We're a 30K podcast, for God's sakes. Let's move on.
We're talking about murder, remember? Planet Murder.
That's right. Dude, John Miller will love this shit. I gotta make some Blood Angels and spear on shit. That'd be a good idea.
That's funny.
I'll just make some spore pyres and just spear a shit ton of Blood Angels on them.
That'd be amazing. I think it's great.
Excuse me.
What's up with Blood Angels being part of everything? Because the Necrons, Blood Angels. Nids, Blood Angels.
Well, because let's be honest, they're the one legion that should probably not exist, but they do still.
Because they're badass.
Sure.
They're red. They stick out like a sore thumb. They should be the first one shot. That's just rule.
I mean, well, it's not. Miller's totally gonna blast me on this, but dude, like Blood Angels, man, it's like. Okay, let's take a step back. So every legion that's in the Heresy, right? Every legion, they are named and characterized off of a niche that comes from the legion's heraldry, aka their Primarch, right?
Yes.
And all of them make sense. You look at Alpha Legion, Sons of Horus, Death Guard, Emperor's Children. All of them make sense. There are 2 legions out of all of them that don't make any sense.
White Scars?
No, White Scars totally make sense. They make sense. You can say whatever you want to with the Mongolian theme, but Chagoris and their heraldry and Jagatai Khan make total sense as to why they are the way they are. The two legions whose heraldry doesn't make sense whatsoever, Blood Angels and Raven Guard. Hear me out on this. I know, you made that weird light.
Okay.
So Blood Angels, in the 40k sense, the whole reason why they are the way they are is because Sanguinius died.
Okay.
Doesn't put a whole lot of credence to the Legion itself. The Legion in 30k is all about the perfection and the art of war, striking like an angel of death, right?
Yes.
Okay. That has no relevance to Baal. It has everything to do with Sanguinius. Again, completely going off of Sanguinius. Has nothing to do with their own heraldry or where they were spawned from or how Sanguinius is raised, which honestly we don't have a whole lot of info on. They've never embellished it. So who knows? Angelus could totally open the door on that. But unless Baal was once a place before the heresy hit, where it was this huge monarchy of like religious faith and shit, which is going to like herald a little bit of like Lorgaris into it, I don't see the connection. Raven Guard don't make sense to me because on one sense, the Legion's tactics of strike, fall back, and strike again, that makes sense, especially when you're talking about prison guerrilla warfare, right? Strike from the shadows makes total sense when you're coming up from an uprising as a prison, right? If you're a convict and you're fighting guards, you're going to want to have stealth on your side. It makes total sense. But the whole Raven theme and Corvus Corax having wings makes no sense. The only thing I can see that makes sense is maybe Corvus Corax like to hung out on like power lines with his buddies when they're looking for food.
Shit.
See, so
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
well, dude, it's like, dude, okay, so like everybody down south, you have crows. Now, hear me out on this.
Oh
Everyone down south has crows, okay, and there are ravens in patches of the United States, right?
Yes, they are.
But in Alaska, we don't have crows. The only places that have crows are the Southern Islands, and that's it. And Homer a little bit, but everywhere else it's ravens. And if there's anything you know about ravens is they are incredibly intelligent.
Oh yeah.
They are very loyal, i.e., if they mate for life. If they know where they can find food, they're always going to go there. But as far as stealth goes, they are not a stealthy bird. You find a dumpster, it's surrounded by ravens. They're not stealthy. They're black, and that's it. So it's like, where the hell did the Raven Guard part come from?
A murder.
No, fuck. Like, okay, so what?
Think about it. What's a flock of ravens spell?
I understand that. Like, I get the cliches. Like the Edgar Allan Poe, Nevermore. I get that. But where in the fuck did the Raven part come from? And why does Corvus have to have wings? Where did he get that from?
Alcoholism.
You're telling me that, like, he broke out of a prison, and when he did so, he took his cot and broke all the sidebars off and made, like, little pole wings off his back and just, like, busted out of his cell and was like, follow me! Ricky, I have wings! And took off.
And he flew. He was like one of those flying squirrel suits that people can get.
Well, fuck, it's like, okay, so he took his mattress sheets and spun them between his ankle and his wrist. It was just like, follow me, fly! You know, like it makes...
Wait, hold on. I am Batman.
Fuck, no! Even Night Lords make sense because even though...
I know. I'm just laughing because you're right. Because I'd never even done on that. When the Primarch model first came out, I'm thinking to myself, there's another Primarch with wings. I don't remember reading anything about it.
Well, no, he's always had his metallic wings, but it's like... So, it's obvious that the Raven Guard thing came from Corvus Corax, right? Like, that's a herald to him, and the whole strike from the shadows and shit. Why a Raven? Who fucking knows? It's deliverance across the galaxy. I know. I'm going against my own fucking words on this. Never put fucking realistic inside of a theory. But why in the fuck is ravens is the first thing that comes to mind when you're across the goddamn galaxy? For all we know, they don't have ravens. They have like these weird lizard things with fucking 4 wings and shit that shit acid and stuff. They're not ravens. That's cool. Why the wings?
You know who has crows?
Who?
Night Lords.
Okay. I know that. Lord of Crows. I get that. Sevatar. I totally get that.
Prince of Crows.
Prince of Crows. But
that's why they're called Raven Guard. There's your answer right there, because the Night Lords were wiping them out like they do what they're doing.
Well, no, it's one of those things where I just go like it doesn't totally bug me, but if I dwell on it in relation to Blood Angels and why, yeah, well, like even Blood Angels, for example, like look at Blood Angels themselves, and like half the reason why the Legion's called Blood Angels in the first place, and I'm talking about canon now, not Rogue Trader, so nobody call me out on that, right? But like drinking blood from the chalice and the Black Rage and all that shit, that came from their Primarch dying. Right? Yes. So why were they the Blood Angels when the Primarch was founded with his Legion? Like, why did he... And Jealous is going to fill in a lot of those gaps, and that's cool. But for now, it's kind of like, that's the one Legion where I'm like, why in the fuck is there another Legion called Angels? Dark Angels make sense. They were the first Legion. Like, they were the Angels of Death. They literally were the Angels of Death.
Now, hold on. Do you know the actual term? And then, now you got to realize, too, the writers of Heresy were very much Latin. They enjoyed using a lot of Latin terms, but what is the actual meaning of angel? Do you know?
No,
it's something very messenger. That's all it means.
So, Blood Angels is the messenger of blood, and Dark Angels is the messenger of dark.
Yeah, death and blood. That actually makes sense if you actually use the literal terms and what it means.
But talking about context and where they would be using that in, isn't that the same fucking thing?
To a point. It's because it's how... No, I know. But see, they didn't start to... Like you said, it wasn't until after Sanguinius was initially killed by the demon, they did the whole Black Rage thing and slaughtered everybody that was with him. And then started doing the whole blood tributes or whatever the hell they do.
So those are the two legions I would like to have a better explanation on. Raven Guard's never going to get it. It's one of those things like, hey, Corvus Corax, strike from the shadows, has wings, fucking a raven. It's like, dude,
it looks cool.
If you've ever seen a raven at a Taco Bell dumpster, the last thing you think about is that is a stealthy, intelligent fucker. Because they get so goddamn fat they can't fly. They just hobble away from your car when you're driving at them. You're just like, oh shit.
Joe, no.
No. You have any idea how many BT5 layers I've eaten? Fuck off. Like they don't, they're not stealthy. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. Cool stuff for the Heresy. I'm glad that it's. I'm glad it's getting the rulebook it's getting, and I'm glad it's going the way it's going, and everyone's gonna win from this. And there you go.
Yep.
There we go.
So on that note, I'm pretty sure 90,000,000% of the community knows that we had a loss to our community, our commander-in-chief per se. Alan Bligh did pass away a couple weeks ago. Sad day for the Heresy community and Forge World. Our hearts go out to his family. He's a very well-loved man.
Yes.
And, it's sad to see such a figurehead. It's sad to see anybody die with cancer and lose family, but it seems always harder when you see a figurehead of sorts.
Well, and for me, I can honestly say I never knew the guy. I never had a conversation with him. But I say I never knew him with a bit of humility. Because the reality is he was the figurehead and creator of what we know now as the Horus Heresy. And the fact that I've spent as many hours as I have interested into this lore, into this world that he created, I like to feel as if I did know at least a part of it.
Yeah, and that was his wonderful contribution to our hobby. And he was the creator of it, for one. Some of the, I wouldn't say obituaries, but the memoirs of people who had worked around him, Aaron Dempsey Bowden, the initial release of his was heart-wrenching, was about the best way I can describe it. It shows the type, not many people in this world can touch such a large population without negative effects that he was able to pull off. And he was able to keep people from going overboard, and it's impressive. And it's a sad day when you see such a wonderful personality pass on. And so I just, most of us are aware. And if you're not, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news there. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned in our podcast. And a brief moment of silence for the gentleman. And now you can hear your fan.
See?
Sorry. So we're going to take a depressing thing and make it undepressing by making fun of Rob trying to smoke in his room so he don't get cut.
I asked you if you could hear it. Now I wonder how.
Until our moment. We had our moment and you'd hear. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, the funny thing is now I wonder how long that's gone on in the podcast for. And everyone's just like, what in the hell is that? Wah, 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 wah.
Now you know.
Damn it. Well, I turned it down, so there you go.
That's all right. You probably have heard squeakings randomly also. My wife's elliptical machine has decided to go tits up on us, and she's been working on it.
Well, the point is we don't have our shit together. That's
we have our shit together. It just
falls
apart around us whenever we do it.
Speak for thyself. I don't have my shit together.
Professionals.
I feel like Robin Williams when he came out of Jumanji. Just all bearded and just like, what fucking year is it? Where are we? What are we doing?
Some days I feel like that too. But anyway, so Rob, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your Anchorage? Wow, I haven't even been drinking. I can't even speak English.
Wow.
Anchorage. What happened in Anchorage over this last weekend?
So first off, you don't know how to read a map. You shit. I live 20 miles outside of Anchorage. You're talking about what happened in Fairbanks?
Oh, that's right. Fairbanks event. My bad.
That's great. Right on. Cool. That'd be like me calling Puyallup Puyallup. I
actually wrote down Anchorage. Isn't that awesome? You know what? We were talking about Anchorage's weather beforehand. That's what happened.
Yeah, so Cameron, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, but it ends with ski, held a 30K event in the comic shop up there in Fairbanks. Unfortunately, I was able to work it out with work to go. Sadly, I hadn't slept for about 28 hours before I went to his event, so I was pretty out of it. But it was a good event. It was a small one. We had about 6 people attend, so it was a pretty small one. But luckily, we had an equal amount of traders and loyalists, so we were able to diversify the games for 3 rounds, and it was good. Got to meet a lot of the local group up there, like Scott, obviously Cameron. Got to see Tim Habushner again. I haven't seen him since LVO, so it was cool to meet and see everybody. I did pretty well as far as games goes. I was 2-1. My first game was against Iron Warriors, and I have been drinking. I totally forgot my opponent's name. Good dude though.
You never do that.
Yeah, I'm just. It's one of those things.
I forgot my wife's name once. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if I don't see you 2 or 3 times, I forget your name. But he played Iron Warriors. So for my Raven Guard list, I brought basically Offer Spawn, Decapitation Strike, Chaplain, Dark Furies, Assault Squad Troops, Plasma Gunners, Mordathan Kami Plasmas, Leviathan, Drop Pod, blah, 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 blah. His list was Proto-Rabo, 9 Cataphracti Terminators, a Chaplain, and a Primus Medicae and Cataphracti armor inside of a Spartan with Flare Shield and Armored Ceramite. 3 Quad Mortars. They didn't have Phosphex, but they did have Shatter Shells. 2 Rhinos, the Tactical Squads in them. And the Tactical Marines, I believe he had Power Fists. And then he also had a deep striking unit of Tartaros Terminators with an autocannon. Reaper autocannon, or Twin-Leg autocannon, or whatever the hell it is. And then he had a Fire Raptor with the missiles and the autocannons for the side sponsons. And it was a really good game. He brought Iron Fire out of war, just for his quad mortars to put out tokens for Fearless. It was really hard fought. I basically banked everything on my. Oh, I had graviton cannon rapiers too, but I banked everything on my graviton cannons, killing a Spartan, and slowing down Perturabo to where all my assault marines and Dark Furies could deep strike by Alvrix, and then we could do a counter assault on Perturabo, and just soak him with enough AP2 wounds that it would kill off the Primarch. Sad thing was, on the one clinch turn that I had to get the 2 hull points off the Spartan, I rolled double ones. So,
What?
yeah.
Snake Eyes for the win.
Snake Eyes for the haywire. So, and he was wide open, no cover saves, nothing. He was down to 2 hull points. All I had to do was just get 2 haywires off him. He killed off my my one graviton rapier battery. So I just had 2 left. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I got this. I'm going to slow him down and be perfect setup for the charge, everything. I put my Salt Marines 18 inches away from the Spartans. That way, if the Spartan was destroyed, like he could move out 6, right? But he wouldn't be within reasonable charge range. So I could move up 6, have a 6-inch charge. Nope. Roll Snake Eyes. And at that point, I was on the back foot the rest of the game. And it was one of those like, oh, I have 1 Assault Marine left. I can go back. And we were playing Shattered Strike, where you have to own deployment zones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I had like little 1-man Assault Marine squads like jumping around, trying to like control board edges because they grabbed the jet. It was just, yeah, it was a good game, but I was on the back foot after turn 2. Second game was against Tim Bushner. He brought his Ward Bearers and his Rod of War Serrated Sun. He spammed, he got Warback, Zardu Lyak, and Blade Slaves. He had 2 rapier batteries, each with 2 quad cannons each, with shatter shells, and they had another rapier battery with 3 laser destroyers, and then he had 2 individual Vindicator laser destroyer arrays, and he had 2 tactical squads and drop pods. That game was a bloodbath. The mission was Blood Feud. And we ended the game. I had 28 points, and he had 20 points at the end of the game. I was able to wipe out all of his Galvor back. And a lot of it was he had a very much an Alpha Strike list because all of his units, except for his Rapier batteries and his Vindicators, were all in pods. So he had like 8 pods, and I only had 3. So I used Alvrix Mon's reroll to be able to choose to go first or second, and then I just said, like, yeah, you go first, I go second, and I null deployed him.
Nice.
So turn 1, he had to drop 4 out of his 8 pods, or whatever, first turn, which it forced him to put his Galvor back on the field, which then I just started dropping my plasma squads and just picking Galvor back squads off every turn. So it was a bloodbath. It was a well-fought game. At the very end of it, he had just drop pods left on the board, and I had, I think, 4 units left when it was all said and done. So it was brutal. And then the last game was my first game against Space Wolves. That was Cameron who was actually running it, and I actually put photos up on the group. So he brought his wolves. He had a Spartan with a flare shield, an armored Ceramite. He had Lehman Russ in there. He had, I think, 6 of those special, Bulgarian Terminators. And then he had Red Blade in there as well. And then he had 2 Then he had 2 20-man squads on foot of Grey Slayers with 5 combat shields and power fists buried inside of the squads. And then the sergeants, the Jarls, had frost axes. And then he had
that's brutal.
Yeah, and he had a Lightness Primaris fighter, but he forgot about it during the game, so it never came on. With Kraken missiles.
Hilarious.
Yep, but turn 1, it was a very short game, but I also learned how fucking powerful Lehman Russ is.
Oh, he's a brute.
He's an asshole, not a brute. He's an asshole. So, like, turn 1, I dropped. Leviathan dropped in its pod, stayed inside of the pod. I was within 3 inches of the first 20-man Grey Slayer squad. And the deployment was that weird hammer and anvil where you have the arrow point. I forget what it's called. So he spearheaded a Spartan dead up front, and they had the Grey Slayers on either side of it, but there was a big piece of, like, mountainous terrain. So he had to, like, bunch them all up in Congo line behind the Spartan. Right? So I infiltrated my graviton cannons to be within 36 inches of the Spartan, And then when my Leviathan dropped, he dropped right next to the Grey Slayer squad, and I popped off the Phosphex discharger, and the Leviathan alone, with his Phosphex and 2 melta guns, killed the entire 20-man Grey Slayer squad.
Holy hell.
Just wiped them. Like, they were gone. I was like, holy shit. He has never killed that many Marines in one shot. But the Phosphex alone, with Creeping Death, me being able to manipulate how I was moving the template, I put 21 wounds on with just the Phosphex alone.
That's insane.
Yeah. And then he had 2 Marines left, and I fired off 2 melta guns and was just like...
Vaporized.
They're gone. Yep. So... Then
they must have really been bunched up. Holy hell.
Yeah, each Phosphex blast landed on 7 Marines.
Ouch.
Yep, and then winning on 3s, re-rolling for being strength 5. I got 21 wounds.
Oh, yeah.
But at that point, so the whole point of the photo was, so, like, I had him on the back foot, and he was reacting to me. The other 20-man Grey Slayer squad moved around that mountain, but I dropped Albert Spawn as Mordathan, and the Plasma Gunner squad on either side of that squad. So we had him a crossfire of plasma and just removed him. All down to the Jarl with the Frost Axe. So I was thinking, okay, no big deal. Like, I'm going to pop that Spartan with the Graviton cannons. And sure as shit, like, his Spartan had cover saves. Every time it was like, you have 3 hull points left. I have 3 hits. I made 3 glances. He'd make 1 cover save. I was like, fuck. So I'd keep whittling down a Spartan to 1 hull point. And a Spartan got in range to charge Mordathan. And I was like, oh, shit, here we go. His Terminators and Leman Russ charged out, killed Mordathan and Offer Spawn, got Warlord, no problem, just slayed him in 1 shot. But when they consolidated, they maneuvered in a way to where my Plasma Gunners were just out of range to do a long shot, but I had an Assault Squad, a Dark Fury Squad, and the Leviathan all within 2 inches of his Terminators, right?
Okay.
So, and that was after I moved them, so they're 8 inches away. So I moved the Dark Furies, the Assault Marines, and the Leviathan to all be within 2 inches of his unit. And I didn't use their jump pack so I can get the reroll to make sure I can maximize how many people got in for Hammer of Wraths and shit. Right? So I went to charge. Assault Marines made it. Leviathan made it. Dark Furies rolled a 2 for the first charge. And the way they moved in, they were towing in difficult terrain, so it was -2. So I was like, oh, no big deal, man. Jump pack. Fuck yeah. Here we go. Rolled it again. Got a 1 and a 2. It's like, fuck. Because that was the unit
that happens all the time, though.
Dude, that was the unit that I wanted in. Like, I wanted to swap him with all those, like, zealot rending lightning claws, right?
Yeah.
I was like, shit. So I got in. Leviathan charged in. He charged into where Leman Russ was at. Leman Russ punked him before he even attacked. Fuck me. Assault Marines, they did their chainsaw hits. Didn't do much. I killed 1 Terminator. The Terminators fought back. Killed all the Assault Marines. Power Axes went back, killed 2 Terminators. Or no, we finished off the Terminators, and we killed Red Blade with the Assault Marine squad. So I had the 2 Power Axes and the Raven's Talons in there, and I got off like 2 rending hits with Raven Talons. So we killed off the Terminators and Red Blade. All we had left was Leman Russ, right? I'm sorry, and Red Blade with 1 wound. They charged the Dark Furies, which sucks for me. So Leman Russ struck first, killed 7 Dark Furies on his own. Then Red Blade strikes initiative 5, killed off 2 Dark Furies. I had 1 Dark Fury and the Chaplain left. They fought back, didn't do shit. Next turn, Leman Russ kills him, consolidates away, and I'm sitting there going like, holy fucking shit, that guy alone killed Leviathan, Dark Furies, and Assault Marines. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
So then he got in range of my Plasma Gunners, and my Plasma Gunners opened up with the reroll and 1s to hit and all that shit for preferred enemy, and we were able to smoke him. Sadly, though, Cameron forgot that his armor, and I even said it too, I was like, are you sure that Leman Russ doesn't get a 3-up invul of plasma? I'm pretty sure he does. And he's like, oh no, he gets 4-up. I'm like, okay, so I shot him, and I killed him in one volley of plasma guns. The funny thing is, though, is that if Cameron would have remembered that and looked it up, he made, out of all the saves he failed, only 3 of them were 4s or higher. So Leman Russ would have still have been alive, rampaging through my shit after he killed 3 units.
That's insane. Well, that's a good Primarch, but he's a badass Primarch, you know.
He is, but he hurts. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. But he's the one you don't want to get to combat. You just shoot him. You just said, let him get to, just shoot the shit out of him.
Yep.
You know, stay out of his way and kill him with bolters. And he will die.
I will say this, too, with his invul save. So Cameron and I were talking earlier today about that. He was like, I was like, I just don't understand why he has an invul save for flamers. He's like, yeah, neither do I. That's kind of weird because there's no flamer that's AP2. And then I got to thinking about it and I go, no, rending. Veterans with rending flamers, Mordathan,
Oh, yeah.
Mordathan with their fatal strike, the psychic power foreboding that gives your unit rending. That's why it's an invul save against flamers. Because you actually can get AP2 against flamers if you had the right combination for it.
Huh. That's kind of cool.
Which also means, too, that if you're fighting units that have flamers and have kind of have a glitch on that, like Combi Flamer Mordathan, veterans with sniper and flamers, or a Thousand Suns list that has a support squad of flamers, and a librarian that came with them that has for divination and foreboding, you could put Lehman Russ in front of your Terminator squad. Now that rending don't mean shit.
Yeah, it sucks it up.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
Something to think about. I never even really thought about that combination, but yeah, they went that far ahead to think about it. They could be like, yeah, Flamers too. Fuck those psychers.
See, I never played with Flamers, so it's just like it never even dawns on me to think that way.
Yeah. But no, it was a good event. Beyond that, I did play another game against Nate and his Custodes. And holy shit. Like, Custodes, I could see Custodes being a really big problem to a lot of legions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are assholes. Don't get me wrong on that. They're pretty damn tough. My legion does pretty well against armies that glitch on independent characters and high toughness. But that game ended, it was War of Lies, and it ended with him having 4 Custodes on the table and Valdor with 1 wound. And I had 3 speeders, 5 seekers, 1 of my graviton rapiers, 10 breachers, and a couple of drop pods left. Oh, and 2 sniper teams. Because that one I brought the recon Red Award. So I had the 3 sniper teams, yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. He had his shield captain with a 9-man unit or 8-man unit of halberds, and I knew that with the way that his list was made, because he had like that squad, and then he had the sword board contemptor, and then he had a couple of other storm and board squads, and one of them had Valdor in it, and then he had the Calatus grav tank, and then he had the deep striking halberds and the deep strike with the Melta spears, and then he had the deep striking bolter dudes. That I knew his clutch was the shield captain unit, get into combat to tie everybody up, because that rerollable 3-up invul save to get everybody else in there.
Yeah.
So when I dropped the Mordathan and the plasma gunners like right in range, and I dumped him with 38 plasma gun shots, rerolling 1s, and I just fucking blah! And the shield captain was down to like 3 wounds, and then he charged Mordathan, and he kicked their ass, but I was able to punk him out with my Leviathan and stop him. And then once that happened, then it was kind of like we had like a clinched battle line of just like he would move up, I would move up, shoot, assault, fight, someone died. And then Valdor, for whatever reason, I had in my head that Valdor was like the shield captain. And then once I figured out that he had just a 4-up invul and that was it, I was like, oh, fuck you. And I just started dumping all his AP2 into him. I was like, no, kill that son of a bitch.
He's a rough one.
He is. The fact that his wounds are instant death and shit, it's like, whew. Yeah.
I got the event only model from a buddy of mine who went to Adepticon. I still got to put that together. It's a beautiful one. It's like, I love the Custodes. I love some of the paint themes that you're starting to see now too.
I like the black and the silver with the red.
Yeah. I think you and I probably seen the same picture. It's all black with a little bit of red highlights and gold. But there's some. Yeah, I remember the first game I ever played against them was the Thanksgiving blood feud thing we always do. And we had a player from Games Workshop, John Hall, and he had 30 of them. Yeah, 30 Custodes. Dude, it sucked. It was like I dumped my entire army into 2 units, and it took literally Alfarius, my brother-in-law was playing, to kill him. Because they had that re-rollable invuls at that time.
Yep.
Like, oh, damn. I'm so glad they got rid of that. It makes them a little easier to kill. But, we've had our Custodes players. They do okay. They're not like, oh, my God, amazing. But I'm sure once they figure out how to play them or manipulate the army a little bit more, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yep. The Loyalists, too, kind of needed that as well as far as the faction goes, just because of how many demon units and stuff the traders were able to pull.
Oh, yeah. We're going to start seeing those. I'm already starting to see guys converting now, getting ready for it, with Angelus coming out. So, it's going to be interesting. It's like, I got my Sisters of Silence, which I'm still pissed off at you, Forge World. You've showed them twice now, 2 different events of yours, and not one freaking release for Sisters of Silence. Just so you know, fail. 3 months. 3 months you said. February, March, April, May. My blimps should have been out by now. Anyway.
Forge World, please, for the love of God, take your time.
I'm giving him the 1 finger salute. Anyway.
I know I'm number 1. I don't need you telling me that.
I love you, man. So, it sounds like you had some fun times up there, though.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a good event. I was tired as shit.
I know, you called me on the way home to stay awake.
Oh, dude, I was so fucking tired. Like, that was a cumulative sleep deprivation to the max, dude. But it was a good event. It was good to meet everybody. I had a good time. It was well-rounded. Everything just worked out well. No arguments, nothing. It was just a good event.
Good. Yeah, it's nice to see Fairbanks getting a decent group. And like we said, if those who listen don't know the Northwest region of the Americas, this is our nice time of year. This is all we get. We either get rain or snow, and this is our sunny time, so we are out enjoying it in different ways. Alaska, this is their fishing seasons, hunting seasons, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
vitamin D seasons.
Yeah. The only time they get sun, because those days of dark, hell no. So.
You get a lot of painting done, but that's about fuck all else. That's all you get.
Drinking.
Yeah, and drinking. Yeah, that doesn't change.
We're not alcoholics. We're just depressed drinkers.
That's right.
So with the events coming up, I know that there are some who have been wondering about Dragonflight. Evan and I have been hit and miss about talking. Evan owns Games and Gizmos and is actually hosting Dragonflight for us at the Hilton in Bellevue on August 26th and 27th. We are scheduled to play. If you guys are out of the area, I get your tickets to fly in. It doesn't look like it's going to be all that expensive to play. I'm not going to give a price right now, but it's below $50. I know that much. I know Rob's going to be coming down to that. It sounds like he may be crashing on my couch because of my drunken promises. And
I'll hold you accountable.
Actually, no, I'll actually put you in a bedroom because you don't want to see me walking around naked at night. And
so you think?
I don't want you to.
So you think?
Don't need to tempt you, buddy. Jesus. Where was I going? So anyway, I unfortunately, due to my work schedule, have not had a chance to meet up with Evan and get down finite details. Soon, I promise I will have stuff. So I appreciate you guys all being patient. And like I said, if you get your tickets down here and for some god-awful reason it doesn't show up, I do have friends at game stores that own. We will do our own thing. Come down, hang out, have fun. It is a cash bar at the event. I've been promised that, which Rob is going to be ecstatic for. And the beers are a lot cheaper than Vegas. So.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, right? So if drinking's that's part of the Beer and Pretzels thing, Rob and I are going to try doing our podcasting Saturday night after the first day of the event. Evan did promote this as a 2,500 point list. I may stick with that. Originally, I had posted 3,000 point list, but I know a lot of people have a hard time with that. So I may just do the 2,500 points and do 3 on Saturday, which is a long ass day, so I doubt highly that will happen. So we're going to do 4 games total, more than likely. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then people can fly out Sunday night. So, anyway, that is my Dragonflight speech.
Very well done. Very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, right. I wish I had more information. Unfortunately, I do not, and I feel like I honestly was starting to worry about it, and I had to get on Dragonflight's website and see what's going on, see if we were even scheduled to be there. It's like, maybe it just fell through and he hasn't said nothing yet. But no, just our schedules have been conflicted horribly.
And by the magic of editing, we're back. I had to pee really, really bad.
He was dancing, and I was just trying to drag it out, see how far it can go before he either fell out of his chair screaming or ran out the room. He ran out the room.
And my bladder near about exploded. But basically, Ho ignites, you're working out the dates, and all that jazz, right?
No. Games and Gizmos.
Games and Gizmos. Sorry. I'm on beer 7. So, yes, Games and Gizmos. Right on. So, following forward, that's what we got for events.
Yeah.
I will encourage those that are listening in Alaska. Artists Trident Event Day 2 is going to be on August 5th. I am working on the narrative for that, and I've got some really cool ideas. And I'm actually going to create a Survey Monkey survey that I'm going to post on the AKW Horus Heresy group next month. I've got a few ideas for the event. I'm actually playing with the idea of having a 500-point sideboard. So I'd like to have the manipulative opportunity for players to have 500 extra points so they can switch out in their list if they want to. So I will have that vote out there, and I want to hear what you all have to say and what your thoughts are on that. So, but Artist Trident 2, August 5th, first Saturday of August at Tier 1 Cards and Games. Let's fight for the second planet.
Sweet.
Let's talk about stuff.
Hell, they're still fighting over the freaking moon. They haven't got to. Did I just lose you?
We're starting to lag a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Somebody's watching porn.
Damn it.
What?
Just people watching tranny porn, dude. Never do that, man. It's always an hour-long video.
Oh, man.
So...
It's like a train wreck.
So, I guess the next batch we can talk about. So, I listened to Tim and Michael talk on the I Have Horse podcast last week. And really cool stuff. Really good, actually, ideas on some Zone Mortalis stuff. But I'm not going to spoil that. If you want to know more, listen to their episode that was released last Tuesday. But I do want to give a shout-out to Jordan Carrasa. He sent them an email about a Sasquatch-esque story that was actually a pretty good, creepy, eerie camping story that he experienced in White River there in Washington. And I kind of want...
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
My wife was just there last night for a concert.
Well, apparently you hear deathly screams of a woman in the middle of the night to take your bag when you're camping.
That's awesome.
But I figured...
Tell us the story.
Dude, I can't do that. For one, I don't have the email that they had to tell it correctly. Secondly, way too drunk to be reading something. But what I can say though is I can ponytail off that with some scary stories of my own that I've experienced while in Canada. Do you have anything, Dave? Do you have anything you want to say about scary stories?
No, not really. Nothing like that. So you go right on ahead, Rob. My stuff's more, I'm the menacing bastard, not the scared one.
Fair enough. So my first story was I got 2 of them in total. So everybody have a beer. If you can't have a beer, have a Gatorade or something. Settle around the campfire. Uncle Rob's gonna tell you some fucked up shit. So my first story was when, I mean, obviously everybody knows that I drive a truck for a living. I was driving a big rig, and out of Alaska, and I was coming back through Canada. And I was in a place called Destruction Bay in the Yukon province. Now, Destruction Bay is a really small town. It's like 300 people. And it's actually one of the coldest places in Yukon during the winter. But either way, I was driving through Destruction Bay. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was going there from Anchorage to do a switch. Now, a switch is where two trucks meet each other at a halfway point at a dedicated time, drop trailers, hook up trailers, and then go back their own ways. It's essentially drivers saving time on their logbooks. But I got to Destruction Bay to do a switch, and I got there 10 hours early so I could take 10 hours off per DOT logs, regs, and then wake up, switch my trailers to the other driver, and then go home. So as I was getting to Destruction Bay, I pulled into the stop, which is a fast gas, a gas station that's known in Canada. And I pulled in there to stop and do my post trip around my trailer to make sure everything was going okay before I went inside the gas station and got something to eat. So I stopped in this pull-up they had right before the gas station. Now, mind you, when I was getting there, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, dead of winter, so it's dark as shit. It's like 35 below, 30 below. And it's snowing, but it's not like snowing hard, but there's enough flakes in the air where you can tell it's snowing, right? It's like that weird like frost snow. And so I pull over and I stop, and I hit my dash light. Lights come on. I pull out my logbook, and I start drawing lines to tell what I did for the last like 3 hours since I left the border. And I'm doing the lines in my log and all that kind of stuff, and I'm filling out the information before I go ahead and call it a night. And I look up, and as I look up over the dash, I see a little girl in a white dress standing off in the distance about 40 feet ahead of my truck. And I go, okay, it's like 3 in the morning. And when it happened, my first thought was, this is a little girl that's probably with some tourists that are at the gas station because they have a hotel attached to it. And she's just out playing, right? For whatever fucking reason. And I go, well, that's weird. So I open the driver door, and I lean out of the cab to say, like, hey, are you okay? Because it's obviously fucking cold and it's late at night. And as I'm passing out of the cab, that A-pillar that you have that goes up over the cab, you know, on like any car, right? That one upright pillar you have that attaches to the roof. That A-pillar crosses over her, and as I stand up on the step and look over my door to see her, as it passes and I look up, she's not there anymore. And I go, okay, that's not cool. So I get back in the truck and I shut the door, and I look over the dash, and I think to myself, like, aware, like, am I sleep deprived? No, I've been up for about 6 hours, so I'm not sleep deprived. Okay, was it my lights that did something? Is there anything that could have reflected off something that would have made that image? I look around, it's all dark, and I go, no. And I go, okay, could have been snow buildup? No, it's not snowing heavy enough. It's too cold. It's just like that weird frost snow. Okay, so I make the decision to jump on my Neo boots, and I put on my heavy gloves. I jump out, unhook from the trailer, unhook my airlines, and I drive about 5 miles down the road. I was like, I don't care where the hell I go, but I'm not sleeping there. No thanks. There was no other encounter. There was nothing else that came from that. But I swear to you, as I stand here today, that I saw a little girl standing there. And she was in a white dress. She had darkish hair. I won't say she had black hair, but she had like auburn-colored hair. I know that for a fact. And the fact that I couldn't see her freaked me out beyond belief. And even though...
Maybe you ran her over.
No, I did not.
You killed a little girl, Rob.
Trust me, dude. If I hit a rock with my trailer tire, I know I did.
Just give you a hard time. That would be creepy stuff, man. It's like ghost stories.
Dude, it was like unbelievably scary as hell. Like and it was one of those things where it's like, I can't even say that I was drunk or sleep deprived or whatever, because like I ran through all scenarios in my head as to why I would have seen that. And when I found out that there was no physical, possible, factual reason as to why I would have saw that, I unhooked and I fucking bailed. I got the hell out of there.
That's hilarious.
Like, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but I don't want to figure out what that was. At all. That's my one or two stories, Dave. What's yours?
I can't top nothing like that. Almost my stuff is like, it can be explained away on the most part. Sorry, dude. I have nothing to top that.
Okay. So I got my second one. You ready for this?
Okay.
This is another really creepy one. So, and Tim and Michael, if you guys are listening to this podcast, like, please, if you have any ideas what this could have been, please message me, because to this day I have no idea what it was. Like, I have researched every species of animal that should be in that area, and I can't figure out what this was. So if you have any resource points or any places to research in the Yukon, please do. Send me something to research on this. So another Yukon trip, and I crossed the border, and I was on the south side of Beaver Creek, Yukon, which is right after the border crossing of Canada, where it meets Alaska. And it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. There was still enough sunlight out, and I was just driving. And it was really just dusk, but you could, just enough sunlight where you could see, right? And I'm cruising, and after you get past Beaver Creek, and you kind of go through some throws before you get to Burwash Landing, which is just north of Destruction Bay. There's a couple of straight rows of just road, and it's like really heavy with ices, but it's pretty straight. And I was cruising through one, and I was getting up to the curve of one, and I was maybe 3/4 of a mile away from it, maybe a half mile. And I saw this brown creature, and I want to say it was bear-shaped, but I say that more because it didn't have a tail. But it came out of nowhere from the left side of the road. Now, if you've never been through Canada, you have a 2-lane highway, and they usually burr out their ditches of all brush, so it's like open ditches, right?
Okay.
And it usually goes out about at least 15 feet from either side of the road. Okay.
How big you figure?
Shit, I'd say around 600 pounds.
Holy shit, that's a freaking bear.
500 to 600 pounds. That's what I thought too. I thought it was a bear. It was big. Whatever it was big. But it shot out of the woods and crossed the road, which wasn't a big deal because I see that all the time. But what got me the most was when it came out of the woods, its front legs were ahead of itself and its back legs were extended behind it. When it landed to the left side, so northbound lane, but the left side of the double yellow line on the road, made contact once and then crossed the road and the ditch on my side into the woods. So if you do the math on that, that bounding leap was around 22 feet between where it launched out of the woods and made contact with the road and then dove back into the trees. That is a huge distance to jump for any animal.
Was it bulky?
It was muscular. I wouldn't say bulky. I thought bear when I first saw it, but then after I kept driving, after I saw it, I was like, that was way too muscular to be a bear. Because bears always have that layer of fat, right? So they always look kind of bulbous in a way.
Well, it depends on the time of year. I mean, if it was starved, it would.
No, this was late summer.
It's midwinter, right?
This was late summer when this happened.
That's before they fatten up.
No, that's right, when they do fatten up. Because salmon run in June.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're further north. Oh shit.
Yeah. So it was late summer. It was like late August. So we were still getting darkness. It wasn't at the peak brightness like we usually get now. And I was like, that was fucking weird. So here's where it gets weirder than that. Okay. So I go another 30 miles to Destruction Bay, and I go to sleep for 10 hours, right? So I sleep. I wake up. I made my coffee in the sleeper, did my thing, whatever. And as I'm getting up, finally, after I make my toaster strudel and my coffee, I go to put on my Carhartts and get ready to go work that day, right? So as I'm getting up, the truck out of nowhere just fucking shakes. It goes really hard left, really hard right, really hard left, and then it slows down and starts rocking back and forth and it stops. Right? I didn't hear any noise but the sound of my cab mount, which is like these rubber buffers and upward bolts that mount the cab to the frame, creaking from the sound of the truck moving. Right? And I was like, holy shit. Like, at first I thought earthquake. And then I thought, no, that was too violent. Maybe a wind gust? No, it's not windy out. Right? And I was like, what the fuck would have done that to my truck? So I put on my Carhartts and I put on my hoodie and whatever, and I get out of the truck, and I start walking around the truck like, did somebody fucking hit me? Did like a giant fucking condor-like bird, first of its kind in Canada, fucking landed on the sleeper in my truck? No. I start looking around, and I look in the headache rack, right? Now, a headache rack, this is summertime, so my headache rack's all dirty and shit and dusty, right? We have a lot of dust up here. And what's weird is that if anybody's familiar with tracking animals in the woods, like whenever an animal lays down, they always leave a print. They leave like at least the era of flattened like earth and leaves and stuff. But if they have fur, there's like little imprintations where you can see where they laid for a long period of time, right? Well, I was hauling a reefer unit at the time, and my reefer overhung over my headache rack on my truck. And that reefer unit's a motor running continuously, so it's creating heat on the bottom side of it. Well, in the headache rack, there was a print of something large, and I would say the print was maybe about 5.5 feet, 6 feet long. And the print had fur imprinted on the dust and grime on my headache rack underneath where that sleeper was at. The weird part was I couldn't find paw prints around my truck. So I spoke to other drivers about it, and they all said it was a mountain lion that I saw. And that when I stopped, that it must have gotten to my truck and crawled up underneath that reefer unit on my headache rack to stay underneath the heat of that motor while it slept all night. Right?
Okay.
But what's weird to me was that when I saw it cross the road, I saw no tail, period. And like no, not even like tail tucked in, like I saw no tail. It was a smooth rump. Straight up. And that
doesn't mean it didn't get cut off.
I'm not invalidating that. But the weird part was the print that was on the back of my truck, there was no paw prints. That's the part that weirded me out the most. That like, okay, mountain lion, sure, but I looked around my truck and there was no paw prints on the truck. There was no paw prints on the ground around my truck. Nothing. And my truck shook, dude. Like, I know it shook. I felt it shook. I was in there. I was like, holy fuck, what the fuck is that?
Damn.
Weird shit, huh?
Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, I have a vision in my head. There's not very rarely a 600-pound mountain lion, but
I know, and I mean that weight obviously like that weight is very much estimated, right? That's based on what I saw from a half mile away from size, but know that before anybody discredits that, like I am Alaskan and I have hunted for bear, and I have personally not shot a bear, sadly. But I have been with my stepdad and my uncles who have and helped them clean it. So relative size and weight mass I'm quite familiar with. So just keep that in account. It was that big. Whatever it was that big.
I would say wolverines don't get that big.
Nope.
But that was my first thought when you were describing the way it loped. I mean, because they have a huge stride.
Yeah, but I mean, on an average of 22 feet?
No. That's what I'm saying. That's too big. I've seen wolverines out hunting before. And, I mean, you don't see them. I just happen to be looking at the right spot at the right time when they pop their head up.
Right.
And stuff. And they are silent. They don't leave tracks very much unless they're in the snow. My first thought, that's too big of an animal to be a wolverine.
Well, right, and even the imprint it made on my headache rack on the drum deck of my truck, like it was a good 5.5 foot spread.
Yeah, my first thought's a bear of some sort, but who knows?
Who knows? And I'm not bold enough to say that was Sam's Quants or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But when I heard,
it was a hippie.
Yeah, free Earth, man. You're killing off all the environment with your coal. Yeah. My point is that when I heard Tim and Michael reading Jordan's story last night, I was just kind of like, yeah, you know what? I'll do an honorable nod to that shit. I got some weird stuff too. Nothing at the Statue of Jordan story, which I invite anybody listening to listen to the Eye of Horus, because his was pretty. That was pretty chilly, to be honest. That was a good one. it was a good one. Mind you, I was driving at like 2:00 in the morning when I heard it, so I mean that could have played a factor, but it was a good one.
Yeah, I mean honestly, that I've never had anything like I've been tracked by cougars, and if anybody's ever hunted and had a cougar, and you get that eerie back of the neck hair standing on end, and the damn thing pops out a few hundred feet from you. Yeah, no thanks. That's about the most creepy, but I knew what it was. I mean, but nothing like northern Yukon. You know, you might have just seen an animal nobody's ever seen before.
If only.
It's possible, man.
You're not wrong, but if that's the case, I'm going to call it the Gal Vorback. I own rights to that title.
That would be hilarious.
You ever been up to Canada? Seen a Gal Vorback?
Hell, you got the Yowie. What was it? The Yowie?
Yeah, Yowie.
Yowie? Yeah. That still creeps the crap out of me. I tell Meredith about that story. She's like, what? There's no such thing. I'm like, man, there's stories everywhere. This is worse than our Sasquatches. These things are creepy. They chase you.
Right? Yeah, no thanks, dude.
But see, you don't see stuff like that in America because we'll shoot it. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Like,
You're not wrong, yeah.
I will find something to shoot you with. You will die. It's like...
I'm going to take on a Yowie with a slingshot, you asshole. Come here.
I'm like, holy shit.
America, you piece of shit.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's a lot more in this world that we don't know about.
I agree, like reptilian politics.
Oh, man. We're going to find out the Morlocks are real.
If only.
Yeah. My wife's like, the time machine, go for it. That's an interesting way to talk about a 30K show. Anyway.
It was, a little bit.
My mind is so far out there now. It's like, hey, Rob.
Well, so like my okay, we'll keep the show on track. So I never put out a questions posts, honestly, because I didn't know exactly when we were going to record for sure.
Yeah.
Did we get any emails in?
I haven't gotten anything, actually. It's been kind of quiet.
What the shit, people?
So, yeah, I know. But, I mean, it's, again, that time of year. Everybody knows we're busy. I've seen a lot of local hobbying being done. Guys on Northwest 30K Legions United page are posting a lot of pictures of some beautiful up-and-coming armies, and I look forward so much to seeing those in person.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence right now because I bought all that stuff for the Death Guard army, and I'm debating whether to actually split what I have bought for the Death Guard and just making huge Night Lords army with lots of infantry or Ultramarines. So, just tons of infantry. I don't need too many legions.
You know, I can understand that. Meanwhile, I'm a whole. Yeah. I literally have a whole legion sitting behind me waiting to be built. Yeah, I understand that, man. I've
seen your 1,000 Suns there. Well, it's like I walk into my hobby room and I'm just like, oh hell, where do I start? You know, because I'm still waiting on the Sisters of Silence kits coming. And thank you again, Forge World, second time this show, for stalemate right now. And it's like I lost interest in the Ultramarines. I'm not gonna lie. I started working on them, and it's like, just not passionate as much as I am with the Night Lords. So.
Well, sell
them. No. And you don't ever sell. Hell, look what I did. I sold my Necrons, and how amazing are they in 8th edition, right?
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, no, I'm waiting on some boarding shields to show up. I'm actually going to make them mainly my Breacher army. They're just going to see a lot of they're the basically Ultramarine versions of Imperial this. So.
Dude, speaking about Zone Mortalis, you know about that Rite of War that you can have for Zone Mortalis, or gets +1 invulnerable saves for Breacher squads?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
1,000 Suns are now my default Zone Mortalis list.
Okay.
So,
why?
Easy. I bring a Raptora, Praetor, and Cataphracti armor.
Okay.
Okay, so Raptora gives them +1 invul. And then
3 up.
Okay, and then my compulsory troop is a Breacher squad in that Rite of War from Raptora. So now my Breacher squad has a 4-up invul to shooting and a 3-up invul in close combat.
How do they get a 3-up invul in close combat?
Because it's +1 invulnerable saves of Breacher squads. And
Breachers are boarding shields, 6-ups.
Right. 6-ups, so it becomes a 5-up in close combat.
Yeah, you just said 3-up.
Right, so +1 for the Rite of War, and then +1 for being Raptora.
So it's 4-up.
No, sir. Breacher squads, boarding shields give a 6-up invulnerable save to shooting and a 5-up invulnerable save in close combat.
Okay. Oh, I see what.
Yeah.
I can do the math.
Yeah.
My name is Dave.
Yeah. Is that not some stupid? Is that not some
That's awesome, actually.
That's some stupid shit, isn't it?
And you'll still die to bolter fire.
Well, yeah, but what do you see most of Zone Mortalis lists?
Yeah, I know. It's bolters and shields.
And Terminators.
That's true. Lots of Terminators. I can't. Yeah, I do the same thing. I like 20 of them.
Yeah, usually Zone Mortalis has a lot of Terminators and a Contemptor in the list. So it's yeah, sure, charge me. 3-up invul. I don't care. Okay.
That's insane.
It's hilarious. That's what it is.
It is. I like it. I'm not. I never would have ever. Of course, I don't play 1,000 Suns. I don't play any of those. My name is Lords.
What's even better is that I got 20 of those. So ML laser cut candies.
Mm-hmm.
They made me 20 Breacher shields with, I'm gonna say in quotations here, Raptor Claw Signias on the front of them.
Well, that's cool.
So I will have 20 Breachers from the cult of Raptora.
Nice. Yeah, I've got 20 Breachers right now for my Ultramarines. I think I'm getting 20 more. But I mean, the thing is too with Ultramarines though that I get power swords on all of them.
That's true. That's rough as shit.
That's their big thing.
Won't matter to me, but to everybody else, yeah.
Just 3++. It matters because you still have to roll a 3 better, but at least it's brutal on most other people. I mean, even on playing a 2,500 point game on an open table, that would be devastating.
That's a lot of especially if you put them inside of a 10-man squad and put them inside of a Land Raider Phobos.
Oh yeah,
that's rough.
I've got two Land Raiders and a Spartan. I can toss them in. So
that's theoretically better than a veteran squad with weapons master and power weapons because A, it's cheaper. 2, the veteran squad with weapons master and power weapons are very offensive, but as soon as they take a hit back, they lose a lot of casualties. But at least with your Breachers, they have the chance of surviving longer from that invul save.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of kind of doing something along those lines. I think it just looked aesthetically pleasing for one.
Absolutely.
Look insane.
So
then Forge World actually has that. Yeah, you can buy the 3 Storm Eagles, the whatever the hell they call it, for 180 pounds.
Yeah, Rapid Assault Force, whatever.
Yeah. I was thinking, if I could pick something up like that, and just have the breachers pop out of those, that would be insane.
Yeah, that would, actually.
But that would be very similar to my Night Lords, unfortunately, because my Night Lords are all air combat. So
You put in a Damocles Command Rhino and a comms relay, and then you know for sure those flyers are coming in. Turn 2.
Oh, yeah. Stormbringers is what it's called, the air wing detachment.
Yep. So let me ask you this.
So,
like getting towards the end of our show here, because I have no idea how long we're recording for. 7th edition and the whole Age of Darkness adaptation of the rules. If you had to make any kind of a hypothesis or guess, what rules do you think they'd be changing?
I think we're going to see the influence of the FAQs that have been put out so far. I personally think we're going to see the breaching charges or the melta bombs go back to if your unit has to pay for them on every unit or every model, everybody will be able to use them. I can see that coming back because you have to pay for that per model. I think that would be the one, and that's the way I'm actually judging. Just so you know, if anybody comes to my events from now on, is that if you pay for the melta bomb per model, you get to use it. So, boy, I honestly don't know what to expect. I mean, 7th edition's I really like 7th edition. It was the power climb that kind of got out of control in 40K. Yeah. I don't really know. Jeez, Rob, that's a good question. What do you think? I'll come back to it.
So I think, obviously, for one, Unbound is going to be completely eradicated.
The what?
Unbound.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be gone. I think that USRs or psychic powers that would affect a psyker to, or not even that. I'll just say universal special rules that affect a character that would carry over to the squad he's attached to is not going to do that anymore.
Okay.
That's my guess on that one.
So you're saying that if let's say that Blood Angel sword that causes 2 wounds for every unsaved wound won't transfer over to the rest of the unit?
Yeah, I think so.
That would be smart. I'd appreciate seeing that, to be honest.
It also matter things like chaplains with Zealot. I could see them rewriting the rules for Zealot. Because as it stands, unless you're running a very niche list, chaplains are the best console to go for.
Yeah.
So I could see them rewriting the rules for Zealot and just stating that the unit that he's attached to is fearless, but nothing else. But then, the rule that independent characters' special rules will carry over the unit being gone, which would also mean that shenanigans with vigilators joining units say, what's a good example? We'll just say for context purposes, a Land Raider with Cataphracti Terminators, meaning that Land Raider can scout forward. Things like that would stop.
Okay.
And I could also see them rewriting the rules for Fear, that Fear itself will change into something else for close combat. I could see Fear not being something that's hitting 1 less in close combat or hitting on 5s in close combat, and rather it being just a negative modifier for close combat results.
I could see that. Or losing initiative.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, with Primarchs having Fear, and then Legions like yours, like Night Lords, clutching on things like Fear, and other Legions like mine having Rite of Wars that ignore Fear, I feel like if the whole Fear terminology was rewritten to have a different effect in close combat, it'd be a lot more powerful and a lot more beneficiary.
Yeah.
If I had to make a guess. I think there's some other USRs that could be better worded but I won't go into detail on those. But those are the ones that stand out to me the most. That would affect our game the most.
Yeah, I could. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's actually. It's like you kind of caught me off guard on that one. It's kind of a deeper question. So, honestly, getting wounds in close combat, like, or if a unit gets like multiple wounds, or if a model gets multiple wounds, it doesn't carry over into the rest of the unit. I'd like to see that go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, because I'm sorry, I'm like, and mind you, I use that right now to my advantage because I play Night Lords, and when anybody decides to challenge Curtis, he's going to slaughter them, unless it's another Primarch.
Right.
And so, I mean, very often I'm killing not only the model that's in a challenge, but 3 or 4 others. And it doesn't make sense to me as far as like aesthetics go. If they're fighting each other, Curtis isn't going to hit the guy so hard it kills 2 of his buddies. It just doesn't make sense. But, I mean, he does cut a swath, and I get that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's different. I mean, I would like to see aerial combat be a little different. Strafing run is amazing, but I think that it should also apply to shooting at other flyers. You should get the same ballistic skills that you would shooting on the ground. So you're hitting on 3s or 2s as well to other flyers. That way the Xiphon would be better with their 3-up or Jinx and whatnot. So, I mean, I don't, there's some things I'd like to see changed, but without going too deep into why I'd like to see it, it's more of a personal opinion more than anything else making game sense. So, it's with playing with flyers. I think there should be more reserve modifiers for different rights of war. Personally,
or at least 4 sword charts.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, orbital assault. Okay, so you're bringing everything in reserve from drop pods or flyers or whatnot. So, yes, you bring in your drop pods first round. Ooh, big whoopity-doo. Everybody can do that. I mean, who hasn't? But what's the advantage to that if you can't get your damn flyers onto the board until 4th turn?
Yep.
Just like, son of a gun. I mean, there should be a few more perks to different rights of wars. So that will
yeah, but see, even that, though, they could easily change the rules for flyers, saying that flyers automatically come in turn 1.
Yeah, and that would be amazing. I think the Raven Wing are the only ones or the Raven Guard are the only ones that can do that right now.
And that's if that one warlord is embarked on it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I would like to see flyers on the table. What happens if there's a right of war that you can bring in flyers first, and then your rest of your guys march onto the board? That makes more sense.
Well, and I'll say this too. Obrixmon, it's not turn 1. It's the turn that Deep Strikers arrive, it automatically comes in.
Yeah. Turn 1.
Yeah. Well,
turn 2.
Turn 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we can wish list all night long. My biggest one is I hope they change the melted bomb rules and the grenade rules. They specify grenades versus bombs, and like you can only throw 1 or 2 flak grenades. That makes fine sense. I don't give a crap about that. But the melted bombs, when you're paying 5 to 10 points of a model for them to like veteran squad or whatnot, that adds up quick.
Yeah,
and if you can't use them, what's the point? So, like I got 10 jet bikes, and I have to pay melted bombs, so there's 50 points right there. It's a lot of points to be only able to use 1. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I understand that, but I guess in conclusion for me, it's like nobody panic. I think all things are under control, and really we're going to be in a better age here in about 2 months.
I think so too, and we'll probably see the new rule book drop here before long. Actually, I shouldn't say the adjusted rule book for 30K drop within the next few months. There was rumors and stuff about the Imperial Armor books, about Forge World not really taking it to heart. Now knowing what we know with Alan Bligh dying and being sick, and the people who were involved in that knew, and they just kept it under their hats. Their hearts weren't in it, so I guess a lot of the Imperial Armor books aren't all that great as far as their conversion. So I'm curious on what they're going to do for us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard rumors on that one too, but I wouldn't take that to heart. Don't. The best way I can say it is don't take in the Imperial Armor rules as a contrast to what's going to happen to Warlords Heresy. Those are two different groups.
No, and I know that. And I didn't mean it like that. I mean it like, it's like, I don't think right now their minds are in the game. I think their minds are more mourning the death of a great colleague, unfortunately, who is very much involved in the entire community.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I've been in workplaces, people who are very important have passed away, and it affects the morale for a long period of time. So it's going to be hard to say what's going to transpire. I'm sure we're going to see stuff, but I don't know, man. I'm not going to hold my breath right now. I've been holding it since February for Sisters of Silence.
All I can say is patience and just wait.
What's going to happen is I'm going to go get something. And spend my money on it, and in the next week, boom, Sisters of Silence. I'll be like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So we got a special thing coming up. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. On the 24th, is that correct?
Yep, 24th.
Okay. Why don't you explain what's going on there?
So, on the 24th, which is the Saturday of June, TFL, as well as Freddy the Swede with the Valerian podcast, is going to host a telethon. It's a telethon against DMD, which is, man, I was so unprepared for this segment.
And FTL is a Forgotten Legion, if you guys don't know.
Yes.
They're a Texas-based heresy group.
Which is Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually hosting the Forgotten Legion 30K is going to be hosting a telethon to raise awareness to this disease. There's actually a charity foundation that there's going to be donations towards. And then during the telethon, there's actually going to be raffle tickets sold. All proceeds of the raffle tickets go towards this foundation for research. For Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but the winner of the raffle will actually get a fully painted night house. This night house, I believe, comes with 8 knights, which is also included in Foferon. All forms of the Questoris Knights, and then one of the Knight Errants, the Squatty Knights.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So that's going to be going on the 24th of June. Dave and I have actually gotten slotted in for the 2000 to 2200 Central Time, which I believe will put us between 5 and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Basically, they're going to have a bunch of podcasters on there from the Heresy community in 2-hour time blocks, and that's going to overflow or underflow some. And throughout the night between 3 p.m. Central Time till I think it's like 1 o'clock a.m. Central Time. I was a part of it last year when I was with the Wolfkin podcast, and we had a blast. There's a lot of people that we all know in the community just talking shit, a lot of it while drunk, heavily, and it was a good time. It was a good time. So I encourage anybody else out there listening to come and see us at 10 on the 24th. Buy a raffle ticket. It's only $35, and you could get the benefit of a few $100s worth of nights fully painted, which actually I think that goes more closer to the thousands. And it would go towards a very good cause. I know Freddie's got a very close connection with DMD, and that's kind of the whole root of why we're holding this. So come support a very well-known and very well-liked Heresy community member and join us on the 24th.
Yep.
So
It's going to be awesome.
Yes, it will. I'll be heavily intoxicated. As always, like I am now.
Yeah, right. Shocking.
Oh, fuck, man. You serious? You're going to fucking do that? Yeah, I am. You tosser. Yep.
And this is what I deal with off air. No, I'm kidding.
This is the 2 hours prior to the show.
Yeah. This is our turn to hang out and have fun. Yeah, it's, yeah, we got a lot going on. But, you know, guys, feel free to write in questions, comments, anything that you guys got going on in your local communities. We'll be free to. What the hell was I saying? Feel free to share it with us, is what I was trying to get at, and we'll spread the word. Starting to see some communities lag a little bit only because of it is summertime and the release of 8th edition, where we're seeing the 40K players that popped into our community now headed back to 40K, which is perfectly fine. It's all about the hobby.
Yep.
So don't make fun of people that do that, because, I mean, Warhammer's Warhammer, and we all enjoy different aspects of it. So, you know, it's going to be neat. And I've seen a ton of Death Guard armies pop up all of a sudden, too, because of the 40K release of Death Guard rules. And also because, I mean, they're comparable, you know, so it's interesting.
Totally. Nope, we're in the golden age. I said that before, and I'll say it again. We're in the golden age.
Yep. We're enjoy it while it lasts, people. Spend all your money so we'll have a bunch of useless armies sitting in our retirement packages.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I just kind of laugh. I do. You still there?
No, I'm gone.
Oh, thank God. I accidentally just shut down everything. But I mean, I do often think about that. It's like, you know, when you start seeing changes occur, it's like, do I want to continue investing because if the community dies around me? And then I remember, you know what? Who did we start playing with in the first place? It was with our buddies, right? And if they're still playing, who cares? So don't lose heart. And if you find yourself sitting at home alone hobbying because your local community decided to take a nosedive, bear with it. It'll be back. If not, come up and hang out with us. We'll play. How you like that?
That works for me.
Yeah. So, and it's on a good note. I'm tired.
I am. I am too. I was about to say. I think it's time for us to fucking close out. I think we're done.
Yep.
I think
we're not as crazy as the FTL guys recording till 2 a.m, but they don't work as much as we do. I don't think so.
One can only say. I have no idea. I don't live with them.
All right. Well, this is Dave signing out, and thank you for listening to our show.
This is Rob, and if you're sober, you're doing it wrong.
That's right. All right. Till next time, everybody. We'll see y'all later.
Y'all take care. We'll see you.